Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday School. So, today we're continuing our series of I Didn't Sign Up for This and talking about change. And so, one of the stories that Pastor Stephen will refer to is from Mark. So, all of the scriptures for this series are going to come from the Gospel of Mark. Let me read. The part that I'm going to focus on today is from chapter 1, verses 12 and 13. But I want to read verses 9 through 13 for us this morning. Mark chapter 1, verses 9 through 13. In those days, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. And just as he was coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens torn apart and the Spirit descending like a dove on him. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, the beloved. With you I am well pleased." And then now for 12 and 13. And the Spirit immediately drove him out into the wilderness. He was in the wilderness 40 days, tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild beasts, and the angels waited on him. So talk about a big change, right? So we see that Jesus was baptized and then immediately was sent out into the wilderness to be tempted. And so when Jesus was out there, he had just received his baptism. He had joined the community of saints. He was proclaiming his life and giving his life to Christ, or not to Christ because he is Christ, but giving his life over to God freely, and is choosing to go into service for him and with him. And so he joined this group of people who proclaimed righteous living in what they did and all that they did and who they were. And so after he was sent to the wilderness is not just the woods, even though the woods are wilderness to us. So the wilderness means more than just going out into the woods. So not only was he out there completely alone and fending for himself, getting his food and water and shelter and all of that, he was also being tempted by Satan. And so he was in this time of isolation. It was dangerous. He was with wild beasts, so it wasn't safe. And at this moment of hardship, he was already enduring so much, just being in the wilderness. But then Satan, on top of that, is tempting him. He's probably saying, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. You don't have to be out here for 40 days just to prove who you are. You can go back home. Like, you don't need to be out here. He could also make it worse on him just to get him to say, "Hey, I want to go home. Like, you're right. I want to go home." So Jesus is living in a time of change. So his life changed first by him giving his life to God and purposely saying he was going to live a righteous life. Secondly, his life changed because he went to the wilderness for 40 days. And he made that decision, I would assume, it says the Spirit drove him out into the wilderness. So I think it might have been against his will a little bit. But then also Satan being there saying, "Hey, you can go home if you want to go home." But Jesus wanted to live up to the challenge. Jesus knew that he would live through it, that he gave his life to God, that God's called him to righteous living. And also that not only was Jesus there alone and enduring these changes alone, that his support was back with his friends and family, knowing that he was doing this for God. That change happens. Things in life happen that we have no control over, whether we are sent out by the Spirit into the wilderness, whether we make a decision that ultimately leads to us being in isolation or alone, whether we hurt a friend or a family member and we need to cool off and live that out for a little bit before we go back and talk to them. Whether we are alone or isolated because of the things going on in our world today. And it's not easy. It's absolutely not easy, and none of it is supposed to be easy. That we are God's children on earth, and God's given us a few things that we are supposed to do as Christian people and as godly people. And the first of those is to trust in God. And the second of those really is to rely on those people around us. Because without the people around us helping us through our hardships, it's very hard to be in the wilderness alone. And so if we rely on God and the people that are around us, we can go through anything. We can be anything we want to be. We can go through any life circumstances with those supporting us and encouraging us, that we can get through the hardships that are there among us. So today, I invite you to read this scripture, to think about a hard time in your life, whether that's now or whether it's in the past. But then think about the ways that you can rely on God. You can rely on your family or your friends. Whether your friends are going through a hard time or a family member is going through a hard time, how can you be that support system for them, for now and in the future? So think about that this week as we talk about being the change in the world and having a community of support behind us. So tune in to worship online, or we would love for you to come to Open Table. It's at 11 o'clock on Sundays in the CLC. And we all are, each family is around different tables, and you can invite another family to sit with you if you've already been around them. And so go on our website and sign up for Open Table. We would love to see you as youth families there with us in person on Sunday mornings. And talking about being in person on a Sunday, we will be having a pool party at the Brooks house on the 30th. So that's not this Sunday, but next Sunday. From 3 to 5 to 5:30, we're going to have dinner together at the end. So y'all don't need to bring anything. Just bring yourselves, towel, and bring a friend if you want to. But we'll be swimming and having a good time. And so we would love to see you there, and just to be able to be in community with each other and to see each other again and have some fun. So I hope to see you all there. I hope you all tune into this and tune into worship today, and that we are all together as the community of Christ. And we'll see you all soon.